Hello, everyone. This is JP, back again, the owner and creator of the Trump Fan Network. We are here to do what we do best, educate the masses, debunk libtards, and like always, we will set the record straight. We have a fantastic show planned for everyone, and when I say we, I mean myself and the Chewie to my Han Solo, mi amigo, and faithful sidekick, the one and only Jimmy B. What's up, Jimmy?
JP, man, I'm doing good. We got news up the wazoo. What a week, man.
All right, well, awesome. Let's get this thing going. For starters, and like always, we will play the top clips of the week, which is usually some left-wing kook saying something stupid in front of a camera. I mean, there's never-ending material for that shit right there, is it, Jimmy?
No doubt, man.
And as an added bonus this week, I have went and pulled the top 5 most viewed videos of 2018. I know we're all looking forward to that. Everyone should get excited to walk down memory lane. 2018 has been very interesting, to say the least. And a little later on, we're going to get into Jimmy's news, and then we're going to try something new. We will do something that Jimmy has dubbed Trump Trivia. Do you have your questions ready, Jimmy?
I got them ready.
All right, now I have not seen them, have I?
No, you have not. In fact, I asked you, would you like to see them before the show? And you said no.
No, I can't wait to get to that. I think I know a lot about Trump, owning the Trump Fan Network. Let's see what happens. All right, now, are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
I said, are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
This has been floating around. Maybe you've already heard it, maybe not. I saw this and thought this would be something clean and cute. So about 8 a.m., I made a snowman. You ever made a snowman, Jimmy?
I have made one in my entire life.
Well, yesterday at 8 a.m., I made a snowman. And then about 8:10, a feminist passed by and asked me why I didn't make a snow woman. So at 8:15, I made a snow woman. Then 2 minutes later, my feminist neighbor complained about the snow woman's voluptuous chest, saying it objectified snow women everywhere. At 8:20, the gay couple living nearby threw a hissy fit and moaned it could have been 2 snowmen instead. At 8:22, the transgender man, woman, person, whatever, asked why I didn't just make one snow person with detachable parts. At 8:25, the vegans at the end of the lane complained about the carrot snows and veggies are food and not to decorate snow figures with. At 8:28, I was called a racist because the snowman is white. At 8:31, the Middle Eastern gent across the road demanded the snow woman be covered up. 8:40, the police arrived saying someone had been offended. At 8:42, the feminist neighbor complained again that the broomstick of the snow woman needed to be removed because it depicted women in a domestic role. At 8:43, the council equality officer arrived and threatened me with eviction. 2 minutes later, at 8:45, TV news crew from ABC showed up. I was asked if I know the difference between snow women and snow men. I replied, yeah, snowballs. And then I was called a sexist. At 9 o'clock, I was on the news as a suspected terrorist, racist, homophobe, sensibility offender, bent up on stirring up trouble during difficult weather. At 9:10, I was asked if I had any accomplices. My children were taking my social services. And then finally at 9:29, far-left protesters offended by everything marched down the street demanding for me to be arrested. And do you know what the moral of this story is? There is no moral. It is what we have become, all because of snowflakes.
Oh.
I found that on Facebook. And speaking of Facebook, let me give you a little backstory. I'm going to paint you a picture again. I started the pro-Trump fan page on Facebook, Trump Fan Network, somewhere around November, December 2015. Damn, it's been 3 years already. Time flies. Anyhow, due to the huge phenomenon of Donald Trump and clever memes, the page pretty much took off. I was doing on Facebook back then to what has blossomed to what we do now on YouTube today. I was creating original content, debunking those filthy liars on the mainstream media. I was promoting Trump and so on. A lot of the pro-Trump memes floating around still today, I created them. Did you know that? You don't have Facebook, do you?
I don't.
you're not missing anything anyhow. So more or less the page took off, and those libtards over at Facebook shut me down. The page had grown to a massive 600,000 or so, around 600,000 followers. And at one time, I was probably the biggest pro-Trump fan page on all of Facebook. At the time now. I mean, back then, I had more followers than Mark Dice, Diamond and Silk, and most of the shows on TV. Like Morning Joe. At one point, that program with all of MSNBC's billion-dollar backing and them being an international brand, little old me posting with a $200 Samsung tablet, I had 10 times more followers than they did. They were on TV 5 days a week, 3 hours a day, and I had more people engaged with me than they did. I smoked all of them. Jake Tapper, Don Lemon, and most politicians, entertainers. So long story short, in August of 2017, someone in Silicon Valley, some runny-nosed, tree-hugging pinko libtard permanently removed the page. And then a few days later, they closed my personal Facebook page. I lost almost a decade of pictures of my kids, different events, memories erased and gone forever because some dickless bastard wanted Hillary to win the election. It's just gone as if it never existed. So shortly after that, I switched my focus over to YouTube. And we all know how well that's gone. I think it's harder to get over 150,000 subscribers on YouTube than 600,000 on Facebook. I mean, it's harder to gain subscribers on YouTube. We've been blessed. It's going quite well. So, with that out the way, let's get to the clips of the week. What you think?
Let's do it.
All right. This is the portion of the show that I have went and pulled some clips, and Jimmy and I are going to look at them and give our take on it. Now, let me tell you, this guy, Sam Cedar, I mean, he's a real life snowflake. You ever heard of Sam Cedar?
His name comes up once in a while.
Well, I had a request. Somebody sent in an email or made a comment somewhere on TrumpFanNetwork and wanted me to talk about him. And so I went and checked out this Sam Cedar's channel, and he is a guy that likes to shit on conservatives. I mean, he's like Young Turks light, if that was such a thing. However, in this click, Sammy and his room of snowflakes thought they would throw jabs at Dan Bongino. Now, we all know who Dan Bongino is. He's a ex-Secret Service agent, former NYPD officer. Mm-hmm. And Bongino currently works for Fox News, is Fox News contributor, best-selling author. So anyhow, this is what Sam Cedar from the Majority Report had to say about old Bongino.
Bad news, folks. I know a lot of our fans were fans of the NRA TV. And
don't he look like the typical soy boy? I mean, he just looks soft. And he does. This is what, like, the poster child, the perfect soy boyish, feminine looking dude. And I want to tell you, Bongino would squash him like a toilet bug. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't even be fair. It wouldn't even be fair.
And it appears that Dan Bongino, what is it?
Dan Bongos.
Dan Bongos? What is his real name?
Dan Bongino.
Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino.
I can't. Shit drives me crazy. I try not to do it. I know we're all guilty of it behind the microphone. I'm probably do it myself, but come on.
Was either fired or, I think in his words, offered a very generous deal, but walked away from it. I don't know. Has he issued a statement actually saying specifically why he would have done that?
I haven't seen much beyond what he said to Vic Berger.
He seems to, they would have inhibit his career trajectory.
I'm going to try to speed this up a little bit. I know our audience doesn't really care what Sam Cedar has to say, but he's going to get to the point here real quick. Here, I'll just play it. Watch this.
Fox.
I mean, NRA's got to hire some lawyers,
right,
instead of talent.
So Vic Berger, I guess, reported that based upon reporting from the Daily Beast, and Dan Bongino got very upset. He said something to the effect of like, "We're going to come to your house."
Well, Vic Berger originally tweeted this out. I can't believe NRA TV fired Dan Bongino. His content was incredible. This is an outrage. Please hire him back. And I don't know if we want to watch the content first or see what Bongino replied first.
Well, let's look at some of that content first. This is a Vic Berger reinterpretation of a Dan Bongino thing. Now, Dan Bongino's big thing is like he likes to own liberals. That's his big thing. And
which is very, very easy to do.
Well, he does. That's what's funny.
Yeah. I mean, that's my attraction to Dan.
And
this guy's offended because Dan Bongino likes to offend the liberals. He likes to own the liberals.
he's got a T-shirt that says "Socialist Tears," and presumably that's what he drinks. He drinks Socialist Tears.
Oh, I want that shirt.
I bet you a majority report capitalist tears shirt.
Now look at Bongino's arms. They would squash that damn snowflake in 2.2 seconds.
So better than that one ever did.
Maybe we should, huh? And he's got a bowl of lemonades, of lemons. I wonder what he's going to do with that. He's got a blender and he's got a lemon squeezer. And let's watch. He's got a lemon and just put it into the blender.
We don't need a narration
in the blender
from Sam. That's Sam narrating, by the way.
In the blender. When they give you lemons, make lemonade. Piss in it. And enjoy the pissy lemonade.
All right. So for those who don't know, this was a meme that they cut up and tried to shit on Bongino. I don't know if old Dan has seen this, but I promise you, they would not do this to Dan's face. He would squash those snowflakes in 2.2 seconds. Now, I had the real meme, the real video without their editing lined up, but there's no sense of playing it. Anybody wants to see it, they can look it up for themselves. It's out there. So let's move on to another libtard. This one's going to be the one and only Stephen Colbert. You ever watch the Colbert Show there, Jimmy?
No.
I didn't think so. But let me tell you, Colbert is someone that I would love to just kick in the nuts. I'm serious. If I ever saw him in person, I'm afraid I would just walk up and kick him right in the nuts. I'd pretend like I wanted an autograph. And I've pictured this I don't know how many times. I'd pretend, hey, Mr. Colbert, can I get an autograph? And then as he reached out to grab the paper, I'd kick him right in the nuts. Just kick him right in the ball as hard as I could. He trashes Trump too much. Now, to set this clip up, we all know, well, some of us know, we all should know that President Trump promoted Heather Nauert to replace Nikki Haley as the UN ambassador. So Colbert went to shit on that decision. And no matter who Trump picked, you know that they were going to trash him. Mm-hmm. But this is what Colbert had to say about Trump's pick for the UN ambassador.
On Friday, Donald Trump announced his choice to be America's next ambassador to the United Nations. It's the kind of role that normally goes to an expert in international affairs like Madeleine Albright or Jean Kirkpatrick or Adlai Stevenson or Daniel Patrick Moynihan.
Now, notice he's naming off these former UN ambassadors. Take note now, he's naming all these former UN ambassadors chosen by several different presidents, Republican and Democrat.
Bush, so... who did Trump choose? Ex-Fox News personality Heather Nauert. Does everyone Trump appoint have to be from television? I've narrowed down my choices for Chief of Staff. It's either going to be Steve Doocy or Thomas the Tank Engine. He loves clean coal. Of course, Nauert...
Now, how is that funny? Thomas the Tank Engine's not on Fox News, but anyhow... Do you remember who Obama picked for the UN ambassador? He picked a far left radical kook, a kook. I mean, damn near communist. The woman was actually Samantha Powers, who was Obama's pick, is a far left radical kook. And guess what? Colbert kissed her ass. She had no experience.
Well, thanks for being here. I know you're a busy person because the world is a big place. And
Keep in mind, this was Obama's UN pick, and this clip is not recent. This is 3 years ago. But Obama's pick for the UN went on Colbert. You think he asked Heather Newhart to be on there? I don't think so.
And you got to have your finger on the pulse of everything that's happening in the world, right?
Try to.
Part of your job is knowing something about the globe. You're right now the president of the UN Security Council for the month of December. What does that come with anything good?
She's a communist, a far left kook. She is just the point of the whole moral of the story. The bottom line is Colbert kisses her ass, but trashes Trump's pick. Such a hypocrite, very hypocritical. Mm-hmm. Ted Lieu is a senator from California. Now, you know how bad California is doing nowadays. I mean, the whole state is just a cesspool. If it wasn't so close to the Pacific Ocean, place would smell like human shit all the way to Nevada. But listen to what Ted Lieu had to say this week.
So it's a very good point you make. I would love if I could have more than 5 minutes to question witnesses. Unfortunately, I don't get that opportunity. However, I would love to be able to regulate the content of speech. The First Amendment prevents me from doing so. And that's simply a function of the First Amendment. But I think over the long run, it's better that government does not regulate the content of speech. I would urge.
Did you hear that? Did you hear what he wanted to do?
Yeah, it makes me think about those times when during the campaign, you know, and even now, Trump doesn't understand the Constitution and how it works. And then this guy says what he says. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they want to do. That's what those far left kooks do. They want to rewrite the Constitution. People do not understand that. These people are radicals, man. They have no idea what the Constitution is, what it was written, what it's about, when it was written, or what it's about. They have no idea. So it wouldn't be a top clips of the week without adding the one and only Michael Cohen. How can he get away with violating the attorney-client privilege? If this was anybody else, other than Donald Trump, because, you know, the only person who can say it's okay to give up attorney-client privilege is the client. And in this case, the client's Donald Trump. However, Cohen, who secretly recorded Donald Trump, and it's just ridiculous. This is what he had to say this morning on George Stephanopoulos, as Mark Levine calls him.
Most is his claim that you agreed to this plea deal for this reason. He said those charges were just agreed to by him in order to embarrass the president and get a much reduced prison sentence.
I know which tweets you're talking about. First of all, it's absolutely not true. I did not do it to embarrass the president. He knows the truth. I know the truth.
You know, like I said, I couldn't be more disappointed. If my girlfriend cheated on me, I couldn't be more disappointed than I am in Michael Cohen. And look at that damn coat. Where do you get that? Gangsters Are Us? I mean, that's something you see on The Sopranos. I mean, the guy's a thug, a gangster.
Many people know the truth. Under no circumstances do I want to embarrass the president of the United States of America. The truth is, I told the truth. I took responsibility for.
No, he never took. He took responsibility for his own stuff. The stuff he's going to jail for had nothing to do with the president. Mm-hmm. Nothing. He's going to jail for not paying his taxes, for lying to Congress. I mean, there's this perception out there that he's going to jail for something to do with the president, which that's not even the case. He's going to jail for stuff that he did totally unrelated to Donald Trump, President Trump.
For my actions. And instead of him taking responsibility for his actions, what does he do? He attacks my family. And after yesterday, again,
family, he brought up the case that Cohen's wife's father or something may have had some crooked business dealings. He's just stating a fact. I don't say that as an attack. It ain't like he said his wife had a flat ass or nothing like that. That's attacking his family. He didn't say anything to the sort.
Mm-hmm. Before the court and taking the responsibility and receiving a sentence of 36 months, the only thing he can do is to tweet about my family.
He said in the tweets, he repeated in an interview later on that basically he says.
What do you want him to do? What's he supposed to do? I mean, you've given up the goods or the alleged goods to federal prosecutors. Now, I wonder what else he's got in store. I just think there's going to be a shoe to drop in the Michael Cohen saga, and we'll be hearing more from Michael Cohen. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the top 5 clips of the week. There's probably some other ones, some better ones, but that's the ones I selected. Let's move on to the top 5 most viewed videos of 2018. The most viewed videos on the TrumpFanNetwork, that is. All right, Jimmy, this is the portion where I have pulled the top 5 most viewed videos of 2018, the most viewed videos on TrumpFanNetwork, I should say. And number 5 would be Judge Janine's reaction to being thrown off The View. Now, to set this up, Judge Janine went on The View and she got into it with Whoopi Goldberg, and this was what she had to say the very next day about being thrown off. This was uploaded in July, by the way.
Like, Whoopi, you know, I spent my whole life fighting for victims because we had talked about rapes and all that. And she said to me, as she got up in my face, and I read somewhere someone said, well, you should have kept walking. I couldn't walk by her. She was at the bottom of the stairs. She says, F you, F you. And then I said, did you just say F you? And then she said, get that F out of this building, get the F out of this building. So I'm there and I'm like, okay.
And you didn't do anything to provoke anybody there?
No, you can ask the people that I was with. I mean, she
should have kicked her in the nuts like I wanted to Colbert. Number 4 is Maxine Waters, the ultimate low IQ collection. This particular video was uploaded back in March of 2018. It has a whopping and astounding 625,000 views with 14,000 uploads. Maxine Waters, the ultimate low IQ collection.
You know, all of those black people are there, and they don't like Trump, and so he's not going to get a fair trial. And so they should take it out of that jurisdiction. It shouldn't be there to begin with. I don't like that.
But we can only do that if we elect people who are going to back our agenda and fight for our values. And that is why we have to defeat Nancy Pelosi. And Maxine Waters, a very low IQ individual. You ever see her? You ever seen her? You ever seen her?
I love President Trump. He hit that one on the nose. Now, number 3. Now, I'm just playing bits and pieces. Would be here till Christmas 2019 if we played the whole clips. But coming in at number 3, from back in September with 659,000 views, was Tommy Lahren on Fox and Friends, one of those Fox shows, and she insulted a liberal woman right to her face about working for Hillary Clinton. Now, I don't know if he's in the right spots. No, I don't have that one. I don't see it on there. I deleted it. That's one of the ones I deleted. So we'll cut that out.
Okay.
We're going to skip number 3. That was a production problem. We'll go in at number 2 with a whopping, this was a TFN original, by the way. These are ones that, original content that I created. This is Why You Do Not Believe Women No Matter What, with 1.2 million views and 33,000 thumbs up. Come on, play.
You don't Absolutely. I personally choose to always believe the women in this circumstance.
But how can you, as a woman, how can you say that just because we're women, we should always be believed?
An Edmonton cab driver is suing 4 female passengers for accusations they made against him. The girls tried to accuse the man of sexual assault, a move he says could have ruined his life. Scott Frolick has more.
Its owner, Yesa, actually had the camera hanging from his rearview mirror in his cab, had signs around the cab saying, "You are on camera, I am recording."
So basically, this video was uploaded right around the time of the Kavanaugh hearings, and when those fruits on the left were going around saying, "You got to believe women no matter what. I'll always believe the women. And no matter what, you always believe the woman." And I played a montage of men who had been falsely accused. That's what this video was basically about. So if you haven't seen it, or if you remember, I highly recommend it. And the number one video, insert a drum roll right here. The number one video of 2018. Drum roll. You can cut that out, leave it, whatever. The number one video of 2018 with almost 2 million views, 20,000 comments. I get more trolls come on this comment section than any video I've ever posted in the history of TrumpFanNetwork. And this comments are right down party line. It's a race thing. I think all the white people are in support of Judge Jeanine. All the blacks are in support of Whoopi Goldberg. This was when Whoopi Goldberg got triggered and threw Judge Jeanine off of The View.
He's certainly going to get reelected.
Here's my question for you. Here's my question for you, because you talk about you talk about.
I am not, Judge.
Nobody is.
Oh, yeah.
Did you just point at me?
Yes.
Listen, I don't have Trump derangement. Let me.
That was awesome. I had to play that. I love when Judge Jeanine said that. That's my favorite point. That's my favorite part of this video. She goes, yeah.
Nobody is.
Oh, yeah.
Did you just point at me?
Yes.
Listen, I don't have Trump derangement. Let me tell you what I have.
Okay.
I have a lot of. I'm tired of people starting a conversation with Mexicans are liars and rapists. I'm tired of people starting a conversation about this country. Listen, I'm 62 years old. There have been a lot of people in
62? Damn.
office that I didn't agree with, but I have never, ever seen anything like this. I've never seen anybody whip up such hate. I've never seen anybody be so dismissive. And
that caption was spot on, because that's exactly how I felt. Whatever she's describing or whatever she's experiencing right now is exactly how a lot of people on our side felt during Obama's 8 years, don't you think?
I would agree.
Yeah. So whatever she's feeling, we felt the same way back then. I'll play a few more seconds of this.
And clearly you don't watch the show, so you don't know that I don't suffer from that. What I suffer from.
I added those captions, and that triggers a lot of them too. That they really don't like those captions I added to the video. You should read the comments. I get trolls left and right.
Is the
Lord,
inability to figure out how to fix this. That's my issue. But one of the things that you talk about a lot, and I'm curious about it, is the deep state. How long has the deep state been there, and who's running it?
Well, I want to answer your question, because you had
you a question.
You had your opening statement, which was how horrible it is that Donald Trump is talking about
that's
all
what you,
of these
I'm
people.
sorry,
You know
baby,
what
that's
I think
what you
is
said.
horrible?
You said,
But you know what's horrible?
that
when
it
people
was,
who
it's
shouldn't
okay.
be here end up murdering the children of American citizens.
You know what's horrible?
What's horrible
when the president
is
of the
we
United
fund
States
sanctuary
whips up
cities.
people to beat the hell out of people.
No.
Say goodbye.
Let me buy. I'm done.
Thank you, Judge Jeanine Pirro, for both liars.
Like I said, Judge Jeanine should kick her in the nuts. Well, that was fun. The top 5 most viewed videos on TFN of 2018. To keep things moving right along, this is the portion of the show where I turn over the golden microphone of justice to my main man, Jimmy B, and we'll discuss this week's top stories. Well, until we come up with a better name for the segment, here we go with Jimmy's News.
Alrighty. Let's start with that fiery White House meeting this past Tuesday. All I kept thinking was how brilliant Donald Trump was for bringing the press in, because when you bring the press in, they bring in their cameras. And he was just showing his complete mastery of negotiating and the art of judo.
Right. And what I loved about it was liberals like to say, well,
You have control of the White House. You have control of the Congress. You got control of the Senate. You got control of the House. You got control out of all three branches of government, but you can't get nothing done. And I love the way Trump comes in. No, Nancy, it takes 60 votes to get permanent legislation. It's like, her and Schumer have been involved in politics. They've been in office for what, 60 years between the two of them?
Yeah.
And they don't know they don't know it takes 60 votes. There's not 60 Republicans, so it doesn't matter if they have control of all three. In order to get a bill passed, it takes 60 votes in the Senate. She knows that. And anyone who says, well, you have to have all three branches of Congress and you can't get nothing done.
Yeah.
I just like doing that voice. You got all three branches of government and you can't get nothing done. It takes 60 votes is the bottom line. But
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, I like how she tried to school him on Article 1. That's hilarious, But yeah.
Well, where these politicians fail is when they try to out Trump, and they can't do it. That killed Elizabeth Warren's career. She tried to go out there with that DNA test. She tried to out Trump and failed miserably.
I mean, I think Trump is, I think he's ready for battle, but I think.
And one more thing, and then I'll shut up. About that meeting is, if the meeting was closed behind closed doors, Donald Trump doesn't have anybody, to verify what was said.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's got the whole world watching. If he did it the other way, the way they want to do it, with closed doors, without the media there, they'll have the meeting in secret, and then they'll run to their buddies in the press and say, well, we offered him the wall. We offered him the wall and $100 billion, and he wouldn't take it.
Mm-hmm.
He's just being hard to get along with. So this way, Trump can just say, no, you heard it. You seen right there. They are the ones being obstructing. I campaigned promising people we will put a wall on the southern border. They don't want to pay for it. They don't want to come up with the funds to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Trump never said one time that Mexico was going to stroke a check up front. Everyone knows that, the money has to be appropriated through Congress like everything else. The money has to come from Congress, and then we'll work on Mexico reimbursing us. There's plenty of ways they can reimburse us with, I won't get into it, with, the NAFTA deal being renegotiated. We can, that the money saved in hospitals, that the illegals cost the taxpayers $100 billion a year. I mean, the money that we would save in not feeding illegals and hospital and schools and stuff, the wall would pay for itself in a matter of months. But go ahead.
Again, busy day today, and I was watching all the way up until the podcast, and the story is still kind of developing as at the time of this recording. But Flynn FBI interview files, they had until 3:00 today to release them, but they did. It's U.S. District Judge Emmett J. Sullivan, and he had ordered them released by 3 p.m. And the order came after Flynn's legal team had said in a filing that the FBI
set him up.
Well, they discouraged Flynn from bringing a lawyer into the interview, and to me, that's a big deal.
I get that is a big deal, but check it out. He was part of an intelligence team for the military, and I have nothing but the utmost respect for General Flynn. I know he's a combat vet and everything, but he should have known better. He should have known better. I mean, he did 30 years in the military. And here's my take on that. General Flynn has, for the last 20 years, ever since he made like major rank in the military, he's had people kissing his ass, basically. Everywhere he went on base or wherever, he's had people saluting him and yes, sir, no, sir, yes, sir, no, sir, everywhere. So he figured that, these guys aren't going to mess with me. I'm a 3-star decorated general, a war vet. And he didn't know how corrupt the deep state was. And they nailed him. That's what they set out to do because he was pro-Trump. And he had no idea what they had in store for him. And they stuck it to him really hard.
Yeah. There was a report that during the interview in January of 2017, when the FBI was interviewing him, when they were asking him these questions about what was being said, it's been reported that Mike Flynn said in that interview, he goes, well, you guys already know what I said. So, this is coming to light recently. It's clear he was blindsided.
Yeah.
And so again, because this is developing, there's still a little bit more to learn, but I just think a lot of these revelations that are coming out now, it just reveals a lot of odd things.
Yeah.
So Flynn.
Well, the good news is he's not going to jail. But on the flip side, I have to say that he should have known better. I know that the deep state is full of trickery and gotchas, but and he was probably persuaded to do something they didn't want to do. But what I don't understand about the whole thing is if he didn't lie, they're saying he didn't lie. And I'm thinking that he didn't lie because they knew the answers before he asked the questions. Why did he plead guilty? And why can't he get out of that? Well, it makes me think they have something else on him. Because if he didn't lie, he should have pleaded guilty for lying to the FBI. That's the whole oddness, the whole weird thing about this that I don't get.
So James Comey suffers amnesia behind closed door testimony.
Imagine that.
So before I tell you the headline for this one story, the latest
selective amnesia. He has selective amnesia. How many times did he say, "I don't recall" or "I don't remember"? Do you know?
245 times.
I knew you would know, but yeah, that sounds about right. Man, it's crooked as hell.
It is.
Trump did the country a favor by firing that bastard.
Yeah. I mean, he was he's supposed to be in front of or he's supposed to do more testimony on Monday. Right. So that's the latest that I have on that. There's an article by a journalist named Adriana Cohen. She's with the Boston Herald. She wrote a piece headlined, "James Comey Can't Recall Squat." I thought that was hilarious.
That's the headline?
That's the headline.
She probably had to keep it clean. Squat. You know what she wanted to really say.
All right. Got another story. Let's see. This happened this week. This was on Thursday. House Oversight Committee hearing on Clinton Foundation. The House Oversight Committee held hearings on Thursday regarding the Clinton Foundation regarding pay-to-play over recently reported tax documents showing donations to the Clinton Foundation plunged in the wake of Hillary Clinton's loss to Donald Trump in the 2016 presidential election.
So what happened here is before 2016, the Clinton Foundation was taking in millions and millions of dollars from donations from all over the world.
I got the amount.
Go ahead.
62.9 million.
Ooh, doggies. She took in millions and millions of dollars. But when she lost the election, how much money did she take in?
In 2017, the foundation brought in 26.6 million, which is a 58% decrease.
Well, they had the money dried up because they didn't have any access to the White House.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, President Trump is being crucified in the media, and he donates his salary every quarter.
That's right.
Just ain't fair.
Yeah. Jim Jordan, he raised a brilliant point when they were when the FBI was investigating Hillary Clinton. The code name for that was midterm exam. And when Donald Trump was being investigated and all that, that's called Crossfire Hurricane. And he says you can just see the bias just in how they codename these two.
Yeah, this is a major difference. And then the what did the Inspector General's report come out with? We couldn't see any known bias. Baloney. It's obvious. When the lead investigators texting, I could smell Trump supporters, and Hillary Clinton should win 100 million to 0. You know, Strzok, that's another one of Strzok's texts that Hillary Clinton should win this election 100 million to 0. Like, not one person should be supporting Donald Trump, according to Strzok.
Yeah. Well, here's another story. So we talked a little bit about Michael Cohen earlier. He got 36 months for tax evasion. And I woke up this morning and the first story that I saw was Feds launch probe into Trump's inauguration spending. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, but
And then
I mean, he doesn't touch that money. He does not in charge of the inauguration. You know, his job was to win the campaign. His job was to win the election. And that part of when they're celebrating the thing, I mean, they've got a committee that does that. So let them investigate. That has nothing to do with President Trump. I don't have any worries when it comes to that.
yeah. So you know who Michael Cohen's lawyer is? It's Lanny Davis.
The biggest kook. Oh my God, he nauseates me. He just makes me so tired.
What? I mean, he
has never been a bigger liar. He's connected to the Clintons.
Yes.
He's the biggest phony in the world.
Yes. Yeah. And then he does this interview with George Stephanopoulos. He was Bill Clinton's senior advisor back in the 90s. I mean, it's funny how all of these Clinton-connected people have
Are now anti-Trump. Yeah. Hey, do you remember a few months ago when Lanny Davis was doing this little speaking tour for Cohen, and he said, "Well, my client Michael Cohen is going to testify to the special counsel, or that President Trump knew about the Trump Tower meeting with the Russians," and then come to find out it was just a big lie. You know, the media promoted it, and it come to find out Lanny Davis was a big fat liar. So, I mean, he made the biggest ass out of himself nationally. So, when it come to the day, Michael Cohen says, "Nah, man, you embarrassed the hell out of me last time. Let me go on Stephanopoulos and speak for myself this time."
Yeah.
So I think the left, the media, you know, and I repeat myself, the left, the media, it's the same thing. They're co-equal branches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're going to go after him, saying that it's a campaign violation when the damn campaign former head of the Federal Election Commission has come out and said that it is not a campaign violation. So no matter how much they crow, I don't think President Trump has no worries. Now, they may stomp their feet, make a lot of noise, blow a lot of smoke, but there is no fire.
And that's
nothing's going to come of this.
Yeah. And see, that's so true, because I think for a lot of people, when they keep hearing story after story, because the media keeps trying to pound and pound and pound on these, these ridiculous narratives, for some people, they're probably going to be let down. But my solace is Donald Trump's a fighter, and he fights back. And that's one of the reasons why I voted for him.
Right.
And, I think the Republicans, when I say the Republicans, I'm talking like, traditional Republicans, they tend to kind of run away because they're afraid of what the media is going to say about them. I don't care what anybody says. The media is true bullies.
Scary, yeah. They're very scared of him. They're afraid to be called, "Yeah, but he's a racist. He's a racist and a homophobe. He's connected to Donald Trump. You can't defend Donald Trump. He's a racist." So they stay clear of him. Okay, thanks, Jimmy. The news was, what do you want to call it? Very full this week. We had a lot to cover and very little time. So you got those questions ready for, what do you call it? Trump trivia, presidential trivia. What are we calling it?
Yeah, let's call it presidential trivia, because I got a couple of good ones in here.
Presidential trivia. Let's go.
Yeah. All right.
What you got?
Okay. I'm going to see if I can try to stump you. But first, we'll start out with what I think will be kind of easy, and we'll work our way up. All right.
Okay.
All right. Here's the first question. Who is the only president to be on the Howard Stern show?
I mean, was he president at the time, or was he at any point in his career?
At any point,
or any point of his life? All right. Well, then the answer is Donald Trump.
That's right. Very good. Okay. All right. So you've heard of Harry S. Truman. What does the S stand for?
Let me think. Let me see. It's not Sam. It's not Sherman. I think the answer is, it has no answer. S is his name. It's Harry S. Truman, period.
Very good.
Mama didn't raise no dummy.
I'm very impressed. We'll probably just do a couple more.
Go ahead. This is fun.
Okay. All right. What presidential candidate was called the strange compound ignorance of ferocity, of deceit and weakness, a hideous hermaphroditical character which has neither the force and firmness of a man nor the gentleness and sensibility of a woman?
What? Are you asking me what presidential candidate was called a hermaphrodite?
That is correct. This isn't a clue, but just to kind of add to that, this was actually a statement written by a newspaper editor at.
And this was a candidate, not an actual president, or did this person actually win the presidency?
This person did win the presidency, and
somebody called him an hermaphrodite.
A newspaper editor by the name of Thomas Callender.
Can you give me a year? I mean, how far back does hermaphrodites go? I thought that was something that we just come up with in like since the 60s or something. I don't know.
Yeah, the way politics are today, it's so uncivil. You would think that this could not have been possibly said before the year 1800, but it was. So this is early.
All right, so I'm just going to take a shot in the dark. Since you said 1800s, was it Thomas Jefferson?
It was.
No,
actually...
no, excuse me. Hold on. 1800.
Well,
1800.
I'll give you a clue. It was actually Thomas
John
Jefferson.
Adams. But I'm going to say John Adams, and that's my final answer.
All right. So Thomas Jefferson's rival was John Adams, and that's who he was referring to.
Jefferson called Adams a hermaphrodite?
No, Jefferson was running against John Adams. The newspaper editor was a buddy of Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah, well, listen, we're leaving this part in, but I don't think we'll ever talk about hermaphrodites again in the history of our podcast. It's the one and only time hermaphrodites will come up. So, in closing, let's say, okay, so Jefferson and Adams were running against each other, and a newspaper editor called Adams a hermaphrodite.
That's right.
Do we need to get into explaining what an hermaphrodite is? Nah, let's just move on. Come on.
Like,
I think people already know.
All right.
And if you don't, that's your problem. Google it.
All right. This will be the last question. All right.
All right.
Okay. Who is the only president to hold a job as an executioner? And by executioner, I'm talking about, somebody that would have been responsible for the execution of another human being.
What were they? Did they work in the prison system or something?
Well, I'll give you a clue. This person was the sheriff of Erie County in the state of New York, and his nickname was Big Steve. Now,
was Steve his first name?
Well, no, that was his nickname. His nickname was Big Steve.
Huh. All right, give me some multiple choice here.
All right. Was it A, Abraham Lincoln? B,
no, he wasn't the big. He wore a big hat, but it wasn't Big Steve. He wasn't known as Big Steve.
Right. Was it B, James Madison? C, Herbert Hoover, or D, Grover Cleveland?
Grover Cleveland. The Big Steve? I want to say...
Well, not the Big Steve, but Big Steve.
I guess I'm going to go with the last one. Shot in the dark, just rolling the dice, completely guessing. Grover Cleveland, final answer.
You would be correct.
What?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll give you a little bit of trivia. Did you know that the Cleveland Steamer was named after Grover Cleveland?
Actually, I didn't know that.
I'm just bullshit. I don't know. It sounds right, though.
He took the lives of two criminals, and Interesting.
For those listening to for the first time, we don't normally talk about Cleveland Steamers and Hermaphrodites on this show. This is something special. But okay, over the last week or so, we have been asking our listeners to submit questions to tfnquestions@gmail.com. Since we're short on time this week, we're just going to pick one randomly or one that Jimmy thought was interesting and read it. And what you got, Jimmy?
Oh, all right. Well, we got a question from Rachel, and she asks, do you think that maybe our country would just be better off if we could start over and get rid of the DNC, RNC, breaking all the legal and illegal ties?
Interesting. Or so basically what Rachel wants to know is, would the country be better off if we got rid of the two-party system?
That's how I would take it. And by the way, thanks for the question, Rachel.
Yes, thank you, Rachel. It's a good idea, but I would say no, maybe because I can't picture it any other way. The United States is not the only country with a two-party system. I mean, they have a right and a left in Italy. They have a right and a left in the UK. Other than those third world countries, I think just everything's left. They don't have a conservative party in Venezuela. They're all socialist. So what do you think?
I think it's an interesting question. I've actually had multiple conversations with a lot of people about this. And I think the way I see it is right now we have a two-party system and we don't. And what I mean by that is I want to say there's roughly around 18 to 20 political parties that are actually out there. And I think the bigger issue might be, how does one of any of those get into prominence? It's also like we haven't done this before. Going back, I think it was the 92 campaign where you had Bill Clinton and George H.W. Bush and you had Ross Perot. So you had three people. And I think Bill Clinton, I don't have the number in front of me, but it was something
he got less than 50%, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And Perot stopped Bush from getting a second term because he siphoned off enough votes from the Republicans for Clinton to edge out in the Electoral College. And even though he received less than 50% of the country that voted for him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good thing. Now, I want to add this. If the United States was to get out of the two-party system, if one of the two parties had to go, it would definitely have to be the liberals. I hate them bastards. Literally.
I picked up something a few years ago, maybe it was about 4 or so. I was taking a guided tour through the Gettysburg National Park, and the tour guide actually mentioned something that I wasn't really fully aware of, but back in the 1860 election where Abraham Lincoln becomes president, when he won, he was not even on the ballot on, I want to say it's somewhere around like 10 southern states. And not that that's the reason for the Civil War, but one of the things I think that kind of got a lot of people really angry was that, somebody like Abraham Lincoln, who I think won with something like, I'm going to get this wrong, it's like 30% of the vote. And there was more than one candidate and more than one party in that. So for the states that didn't even have him on the ballot, when primarily they were in the South, there was a lot of anger. So I can see that scenario playing out today, where if you had a bunch of different parties, which means you have a bunch of different candidates, and one of those candidates wins with, 20% of the vote or 25, then you have this whole 75% that feels alienated. Nonetheless, I think one of the problems with the two-party systems in our modern era is who's running these parties. And it kind of goes along with why I voted for Donald Trump. And that is he ran on his own money initially. And then,
he took small donations. He ran on his own money, and supporters submitted small donations, but he didn't take any money from PACs or donors. He didn't take any donor money, or a significant amount of donor money, I should say.
Exactly. Yeah, he didn't take that big money, and that big money is, I think, what has. And when I say big money ruining politics, it's this kind of this elite class, and it's kind of whatever they want to do. In fact, in 1860 during that election, it was a lot of the people that owned slaves that wanted to maintain that status quo, which was kind of how the Republican Party gets born, because the Whig Party at the time, which actually did not start in 1860, it was just in 1860, that's the first time a Republican won, but they were originally part of the Whig Party around 1850, and the Whig Party that was anti-slavery is what ends up evolving into the Republican Party at that time. In the case where back then it was this establishment that wanted to keep things the way they were because they were profiting off of free labor. And I'll just kind of end it right there. It's in one ways it's kind of this left-right thing, but sometimes I think it's really kind of this top-bottom fight that we're.
Did you say top-bottom?
Yeah, but anyway, that was a good question. Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah, great. Well, Jimmy, it's time. This is, sadly, boys and girls, this is the portion of the show where we have to say goodbye. Jimmy, do you want me to do the credits in that liberal voice that you like?
Oh, would you please?
Okay. Sadly, boys and girls, this is the portion of the show where we have to say goodbye.
But don't click off just yet. You need to hear this. Don't forget to subscribe to the backup channel, just in case YouTube shuts us down, just like Facebook did. You never know. And we would hate to lose any of you. We would love to stay connected, so follow the link in the description box or the one pinned in the comments. That's TrumpFanNetwork 2. If you like what we have done today, tonight, this evening, whatever, please send us some support through PayPal. We do not make a penny through YouTube, and we are not backed by any corporate sponsors. It's Christmas, so be in the Christmas spirit and shoot us a few bucks if you can. I mean, don't miss any child support payments over us. That is PayPal, PayPal.me/TrumpFanNetwork. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, keep those emails coming. That's tfnquestions@gmail.com. Don't forget to hit the like, the subscribe button. Leave us a comment below. Jimmy, you want to add anything before we go?
Oh, great show, JP. A lot of fun tonight. I can't wait to do the next one.
I can't either. Can you believe we got 4 of these bad boys under our belt now?
Woohoo!
This has been so much fun. Thanks for listening. This is JP. Merry Christmas, everyone. Jimmy and I will see you next week. And remember, I am your voice.